My name is Margaret Hollies, and for 72 years I've called the same small patch of Vermont home. If you drive down Maple Street in the town of Rosefield, you'll see a white farmhouse with green shutters and a porch swing that creaks when the wind shifts. That's my house. Or at least it was. I always believed a home isn't just wood and nails. It's laughter echoing through hallways, it's the faint smell of Sunday pancakes, it's the sound of your child running barefoot down the stairs yelling, "Mom, watch this." I built that home with my husband, Robert, brick by brick, paycheck by paycheck, with more hope than money but more love than we ever needed. Robert was the kind of man who believed in doing things right the first time. He fixed everything himself, the leaky faucet, the broken fence, even the old Ford when it coughed and refused to start on winter mornings. He said, "If you take care of your home, Maggie, it'll take care of you." And for decades it did. We married young, I was 21, he was 25, and back then, Rosefield was the sort of place where everyone knew whose kid was whose. The bakery on Main Street smelled like cinnamon rolls even in July, and our church bells rang every Sunday without fail. Life was simple, predictable, and kind. Then in 1983, Ethan was born, our miracle after 5 long years of trying. He was small, red-faced and loud, but to me he was the whole world. Robert cried the day he held him, the only time I ever saw tears in his eyes. "That's my boy," he said, his voice shaking. "We'll give him everything." And we did. We poured every bit of ourselves into raising him. Ethan had Robert's steady hands and my restless curiosity. When he was 6, he took apart our clock just to see how it worked. When he was 10, he saved his allowance to buy me a birthday cake because the oven had broken. He was thoughtful like that. Those years were golden. I still remember warm evenings on the porch, Robert sipping his coffee, Ethan lying on the grass tracing constellations with his finger. We'd talk about the future, college, marriage, grandkids maybe, all the ordinary dreams that seem unshakable when you're happy. But time, it has a way of thinning even the thickest threads. Robert passed away one winter morning quietly in his sleep. I woke up to cold sheets and silence, the kind of silence that swallows you whole. Ethan was 26 then, just starting his career in real estate. He promised he'd look after me, and for a while he did. Visit every Sunday, mow the lawn, fix the gutters, bring me flowers from the farmer's market. But life pulls us in directions we don't always choose. He met Amanda at a company event, bright, ambitious, beautiful. She had the kind of confidence that could light up a room. I liked her at first. She hugged me tight the first time we met and called me Mom. But there was something in her eyes, sharp, assessing, that made me feel like a guest in my own living room. Still, I wanted to believe she'd love my son right. So when they got married and moved in for a while, I didn't mind the changes. The new curtains, the modern furniture, even the kitchen remodel, I told myself it was fine. But slowly I began to feel invisible. Amanda took over the cooking, then the bills, then even the mail came addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Ethan Hollies. One day I opened the pantry and found all my mason jars, the ones I'd used for homemade jam for 30 years, gone, replaced with glass containers for a cleaner look. I stood there, holding one of those jars, and I felt something small inside me crack. I told myself it was just adjustment. That's what women of my generation do, we adjust, we accommodate, we make peace. But peace isn't always quiet, sometimes it's just surrender wearing a polite smile. By the time Ethan suggested I take it easy and move my things upstairs, I knew. This wasn't my home anymore, it was theirs. I was becoming an old photograph hanging on their wall, something you look at kindly but don't really see. And yet I loved them both, that's the cruel part. Even as I felt the walls closing in, I couldn't stop setting an extra plate for dinner or folding Ethan's shirts when they came out of the dryer. That's what mothers do. We keep loving even when it hurts. Then came the day everything changed. It was a chilly afternoon in March when Ethan asked me to sign a few routine papers for the property, something about refinancing, he said. He assured me it was just for tax purposes. I trusted him. I didn't even put on my reading glasses, I just signed where he pointed. That night I sat in Robert's old armchair and looked around the house. I remembered every nail, every coat of paint, every late-night argument followed by laughter. And I thought, if this house ever stops being mine, it should at least remember who built it. That's when I made the call. I phoned Mr. Dwyer, our family lawyer, the same man who handled Robert's will decades ago. I told him I wanted to make a small change to the deed, for peace of mind. He didn't ask questions, he just said, "Come by tomorrow, Maggie, we'll take care of it." That was the night before my son sold my house. The morning after that call, I woke up to birdsong and the smell of coffee, Amanda's new espresso machine humming in the kitchen. For a moment it almost felt like a normal day. Almost. But something in the air felt thin, like the quiet before a storm. I remember sitting on the porch wrapped in my shawl watching Ethan's car pull up. He was smiling, too wide, too bright. "Mom," he said, "I have great news, you're going to love this." He sat beside me, his voice full of excitement. "Amanda and I found a buyer. The house value's gone up so much, it's the perfect time to sell. We can move you into a senior living community near the lake. You'll have your own space, people your age, full care, it's going to be amazing for you." I didn't understand at first, my heart stumbled. "Sell," I whispered. "Ethan, what are you talking about?" He sighed as if explaining to a child. "The house, Mom, it's too much for you to handle. Amanda and I have been managing it for years. You signed the papers, remember, everything's already in motion." The papers, those few lines I'd signed without reading, trusting my son. My hands started to tremble. "You mean you transferred the house?" He smiled again, awkwardly this time. "Technically, yes, it's in our name now. But Mom, it's still your home in spirit, you know. You'll love the new place, I promise." I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Because sometimes silence is louder than shouting. I just stared at him, at the little boy I'd raised, the one who once cried because he broke my vase, now calmly explaining how he'd taken everything I built. In that moment I didn't feel anger, I felt grief. The kind that sits heavy in your chest and refuses to leave. Amanda joined us, a bright smile painted across her face. "Margaret, honey, this is for the best. We already booked you a lovely spot at Willow Gardens. There's a shuttle coming Friday." "Friday, 2 days." I nodded slowly. "You've made all the plans, I see." That night when they went out to dinner to celebrate, I walked through every room of the house. The walls still smelled faintly of cedar polish. My wedding photo still hung above the mantel. I ran my hand across the doorframe where Ethan's height was marked in pencil, tiny numbers climbing up over the years. I whispered goodbye, love, to every inch of that home. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that I had one thing left they hadn't taken. My mind. Mr. Dwyer had updated the deed just like I asked. The house wasn't in Ethan's name anymore, not legally. The day before he sold it, I had quietly added one clause, transferring ownership to a trust in Robert's name, with me as lifetime occupant. Meaning, the house couldn't be sold, rented, or transferred without my written consent, no matter what papers Ethan had. It wasn't revenge, it was protection. For love that had been betrayed. 2 days later, Ethan and Amanda arrived with boxes and a moving van. "Come on, Mom," Amanda chirped, the driver, waiting. I looked around at the porch swing, the curtains fluttering, the sun spilling across Robert's armchair, and said softly, "No, I'm not going anywhere." Ethan frowned. "Mom, please don't make this hard, the house is already sold," I finished for him. "Oh, Ethan, no, it's not." I handed him a copy of the deed. Mr. Dwyer had delivered it that morning. Ethan's face went pale as he read the words, "Lifetime occupant, Margaret Hollies, irrevocable trust in the name of Robert Hollies." Amanda grabbed the paper from his hand, her voice rising. "What is this supposed to mean?" "It means," I said quietly, "you sold something that was never yours." Ethan's lips parted but no words came out. For a long moment none of us moved, then he turned away, muttering, "You tricked us." I smiled, not out of pride but sadness. "No, son, I protected what your father and I built. I trusted you and you used that trust for your gain. Sometimes love needs a boundary to survive." Amanda stormed out to the car. Ethan stood there, his hands shaking, eyes glistening, and for the first time I saw my little boy again. "Mom," he whispered, "I'm sorry, I thought I was doing what's best." "No, Ethan," I said gently, "you were doing what was easiest." He left that evening without another word. The silence that followed was deep but not empty. It was peace, fragile but real. 3 years later. It's autumn now. The porch swing still creaks, though the wood is softer, the air crisper. Ethan visits once a month, alone. He brings groceries, mows the lawn, sometimes sits quietly on the porch beside me. We don't talk about that day, we don't need to. Time has already done its quiet work. Last week he said, "Mom, Amanda left. I lost a lot, but maybe it's what I needed to learn." I just nodded, handing him a cup of coffee. Because some lessons can't be spoken, only lived. I'm old now, slower, softer, but every evening I thank Robert. Not just for this house, but for teaching me that strength isn't in holding on, it's in knowing when to let go with grace. The house stands still, white paint chipped, the porch full of leaves, but it's alive with memory. And every creak, every shadow, every breeze through the curtains feels like forgiveness. If you ever feel betrayed by the ones you love, remember this: love doesn't mean letting people break you. It means standing tall, quietly, with dignity, even when your heart trembles. Read, if this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember their worth. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe for more stories of love, loss, and quiet strength.